Hey there, beautiful souls, and welcome to today's message. And today, this message is going to be all about all of us who get stuck in our fears, our limitations, and we don't get moving on the things that we are actually at our core inspired by. And I've had a few questions come through as people have been registering for the Free to Be Me with V sessions that we're going to be doing on Zoom this coming week. Actually, I've had a few questions that are echoing each other, and they're asking me a personal question about basically how have I, stayed the path and maybe come back to, despite my journey, despite, going into retreat mode, despite everything over the years and the hurdles and the challenges, what's kind of kept me coming back in terms of wanting to really help and serve people and share my message. And that's why I can see it's an echo out there, at least for the people who've been registering for our Free to Be Me with V session coming up. And so I wanted to kind of address that, but in a really generalized way. I'll talk into my own personal experiences as usual, but in a really general way as well, I want to address this issue of, whether we move forward or we hold ourselves back. And so as you're tuning in, I can just see Brian at the moment, but as you guys are tuning in, please do drop me a comment. Let me know where in the world you're tuning in from. And I would absolutely love for you to think about and consider right now, as we're moving into this message, I would really love for you to consider where it is in your life that you feel as though you hold yourself back. All right, so where is it in your life? Have you got that kind of inclination to go for something and you're excited by something, or maybe you get inspired by something, but then you don't actually take the action? And that's kind of what I want you to have in mind as we go through today's message. And of course, I'd love for you to definitely be contributing your thoughts and your experiences on this topic. But I really want you to think about how it is that you limit yourself. All right, and so today's message is really all about how it's kind of a question as to whether you've reached a point as to whether you're kind of sick of just playing it small in life, and maybe you're ready to actually let go, right? And get into the freedom of being who you are and unleashing in the direction of what inspires you. And maybe you've tried things before, maybe you've got inspired and maybe you've dabbled in things, or maybe got yourself out there, or and you've been hit with some challenge or some hurdle, and then you've kind of backed off in retreat and whatever has happened for you. Or maybe you're on the other side and maybe you've felt that spark at times, but you've just been way too terrified to actually bring it out or speak it out or, share it with anybody or actually get into any sort of action. And before that little spark even starts to become a flame, you're already blowing that out, right? You're already blowing it well out because, you're so terrified of actually being seen as an imposter, being laughed at, being rejected for a truth that's in your soul, or being able to not do it right, or whatever it is. And the truth is that all these fears are universal, but we think because we keep everything so inside of ourselves, we can oftentimes end up perceiving that everybody else is okay, but it's me, right? It's me. There's something wrong with me. I shouldn't share, or I've got nothing of value to offer. And all of these stories that we have going on inside our system, and all of those stories that are going on inside the system that are keeping you playing small actually perceive themselves to be keeping you safe based on past experiences that have been left unaddressed or questioned, and you've decided based on your experiences or watching other people go through experiences that you want to definitely mitigate against, right? Being judged, attacked, blamed, criticized, ridiculed, all the things, all the forms of rejection that we see others go through, or again, we actually personally experience. And we only have to have one experience like that, or see one person experience that, for us to kind of have this army of parts within our system that goes, all right, no, you're never going to be like that, because that leads down this path and we're trying to protect you here. And that hurt when you tried to do that thing over there, so retreat mode out of there, right? And so we end up being these adult selves playing really small, distracting ourselves with all sorts of meaningless stuff, right? And because it's so normalized, we oftentimes don't even get questioned or get something in our external world that kind of pushes on that part within us that goes, oh man, like, yeah, what am I doing with life? Like, I'm not enjoying it. I feel like I'm wasting it. I'm not connecting meaningfully. I'm not living fully. I don't feel a sense of value within myself that I've got to contribute. And maybe you're just getting stuck in that pattern of everyday habitual living, where you're really just playing life at a mediocre level. Maybe you're really just doing the same old things every day, going to work and getting some money, and then being exhausted by the end of the day, and tuning out to Netflix, and then spending that money online, and then you got to go back to work because you got to pay the rent and you got to pay the bills, and you got all these different things that just perpetuate this same old cycle. But at some point we have to just go, you know what? I am sick of playing small, right? And this is the question, and this is what needs to come into play in order for us to transcend a small existence and start living as our full selves. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be, living some famous life or something. It can be whatever that is to you. But at the end of the day, we have to get out of and break free from this, oh, who am I, kind of imposter syndrome thinking. And we need to swap all of those, who am I to do that or do this, or who would listen to me, or my art's not even that good, or whatever the who am I kind of impostery syndrome is, that statement in within our system that keeps us playing small. We have to have the courage to choose a different way. And that way is to swap those who am I questions for what if questions. This possibility thinking, that part in you that can get connected to something bigger than it's experiencing now, that can get beyond the fears that we all universally have. It can break through those, and it can start living from this excited place, this place where life is an adventure, right? This place where, all right, what's been the past is the past. I'm not going to allow the past to determine my future by living there. And I'm going to instead recognize that the past can inform my present moment, but I also want to have wisdom and clarity and discernment around what's coming from a place of fear, right, versus what's coming from a place of love and abundance and adventure in life. All right, life is meant to be lived. Life is meant to be explored. It's not meant to be played habitually in these outdated ways of being that keep us stuck, small, and regretful. All right, and so I wonder if you were to ask yourself today this question, where is it in my life that I'm holding myself back because I've got this little question of who am I to do that, right? And my invitation to you guys is to invite you to swap that who am I, just put it to the side for a moment, just say, could you just, I understand you're trying to protect me, right? Because of this, and this, you might be able to point to these past experiences. But would you mind just taking a side step for a moment and allowing me to just explore? We don't even need to do anything, but to just take the lid off for a moment and just understand who I might be without the thought, who am I to do this, right? And create a new kind of opening within your own system that will allow a whole new sense of who you really are to flow forward. All right, because if you're somebody like we've all been there, where we can feel as though, what is the point of life? What is this all about? Is this really it? You know, to just do the same things day in and year out, and you know, not really feel like we're getting anywhere or doing anything. And maybe you feel like my experiences have been, you know, feeling as though, oh, you know, I was the youngest, the only girl in my family, very academic family. And, you know, just today I was going through a process of just looking at this, right? Like just looking at this question of, where is it that I have these, who am I to do that kind of states of being in my system, right? And as I looked through, I could see them being connected to outdated past perceptions of other people's judgments, and basically see that, you know, that's the way that others judge you is really a projection of their own internal judgments. And I could see this. We don't often know this even as adults, but definitely not as small children, right? And when we're small children and we're getting this reflection or this judgment onto our internal system, of course, particularly if we admire the people in our lives who are placing those judgments upon us, or we're perceiving that judgment coming from them, you know, of course we're going to trust that. And we look to the external world, we look to our elders as, you know, a reflection as to who we are and how we're going about life. And when we have these past experiences, particularly from childhood, but definitely also in adulthood, where we've been judged in a certain way, you know, then we can actually look at that and take a different perspective. Instead of personifying it, we can actually look at the human experience and recognize that we're way more open books than we give ourselves credit for, right? How we treat others is how we treat ourselves. How we judge others is how we judge ourselves. And then we can start to look at those judgments that we may have received from caregivers in particular, and look at how that judgment we took so personally, we can start to recognize over the timeline of our life, we can start to see, how is this person's judgment of me actually a judgment of themselves, right? And when you can start to piece that together and start to see that that judgment that they've placed upon themselves is being projected onto me, and I've formed that into my identity, and now it's making me play small in life because I'm still holding on to this sense of inferiority in some regard. I'm still letting fear win and, you know, consume me and my energy away from actions that would transform the game of my life. You know, you can start to even look at, are they living the life? That person that projected that judgment onto me, I can have compassion because now I can see the open book into their own system as to how they judge themselves. And then I can also look at, is their life representative of the life that I would ultimately be inspired to live for myself? And what you'll tend to find is that more often than not, they ain't living the life you want to live. All right. And if you look at it on a multitude of different levels, right, look at it from the perspective of, you know, their emotional life. Do you see them in pure enjoyment of life, of excitement, of inspiration, of love and compassion and generosity and all the beautiful qualities that you might personally admire, right? Are they living a great life in terms of getting outside of their own fears and living purposefully and tapping into their own gifts and contributing and sharing them in whatever potential way that is authentic to them? Are they living a great life with family or friends or, you know, a lifestyle that you would love, right? Whatever it is, look at. Take the personification of that past judgment out of the equation for a moment and just look at it, right? Just look at the facts of the game here, knowing that, first of all, let me have some compassion, because how we judge others is what we project, how we judge ourselves is the projection of judgment we place upon others. okay, wow, I see that. That must be tough, like to have that sense of judgment on yourself in your own internal world. And then once you reach that place of compassion, then also take a meta perspective on this person's life. Is it one that you'd be really inspired to walk in the shoes of on all those levels? And like I said, more often than not, it's so far from what you'd actually want to experience. But if you keep that personification, if you allow their projected judgments to become a part of your identity, and you perpetuate that identity into your adult existence, and you find yourself playing small and getting stuck in imposter syndrome and letting fear lead the way and, you know, dulling yourself down, then you actually really need to look at this and go, if I continue to play this identity out, all I'm doing is walking in the shoes of the person who judged me, who projected their own sense of judgment onto themselves, which was probably projected onto them as kids, and you can trace it all back, right? But the truth is, it doesn't matter what's happened in the past, it's what you do with this awareness now. So my invitation to you right now is to get out your journal. As soon as this video finishes, get out your journal and just ask yourself the question, where is it in my life that I'm playing small? Where is it in my life that I am getting so stuck in this, who am I to do that? And I'm shutting down my inspirations and my excitements in my life and who I actually am, because I'm already negating it. I'm already doubting it. I'm already discounting it with this, oh, who am I to do that kind of mentality. And I'd invite you to also then look at that. Where did that come from? Right? What experiences have I had, or experience I've had in my life that generated this story of who am I? Who am I to be this? Who am I to do this? I'm not good enough. I'm not of value. Whatever it is, who would want to listen to me? Who would want to, who would value me enough, or whatever the thing is, right? It's up to you to go into that and identify the past experience that generated the story. And maybe because how our mind works, it's working to constantly prove our belief system right. So maybe you've got a whole multitude of experiences because of this one key point. The first time it ever happened, right? Somebody projected their judgments onto you, and you then took on a belief system that is not your own about who it is that you are and what it is that you're capable of. And what your mind is then doing unconsciously is finding all the examples and reasons as to why that belief system is true. Right? That projected judgment about who you are is true. And you might have a whole entire life filled with these experiences of proving that belief system correct, right? And so don't get overwhelmed by that. I know me talking into it right now, like, oh, geez, like, why even bother? I got a whole lifetime of like all these experiences and reasons why that's true and all the rest of it. The truth is, if you get to the key point of where it all began, it'll eradicate the whole lot of them, all right? You just need to get to the root cause a lot of the time. And even if you don't know that that's the actual one, as long as you're tackling some experience, it'll lead you to the next and the next deeper one. And through a process of unraveling, you will get there, right? Because there is a question you can ask yourself. From the incredible, it's called The Work by Byron Katie. If you haven't come across it, one of the best, simplest ways of busting your limiting beliefs and your own personal judgments that you might project onto others. So I invite you to go check out Byron Katie, thework.com. But basically, you question with this limiting belief, this perception, oh, who am I to do that? Who would you be without that thought, right? And what you'll see is that you'd be free, you'd be confident, you'd be alive, you'd be getting after it, you'd be doing it, you'd be inspired, right? You'd be fulfilled. And then you can start to see what it's costing you to have an unquestioned limiting belief and persona residing in your system that's helping you to play small. That's really what it's doing. Even though you can have some compassion for it because it's also trying its best to keep you safe, right? But it's no longer really working out for you, all right? And so once you've identified the who am I to do this kind of statements, asking yourself, is it really true, right? And who would I be without this thought or this belief, right? And how could I prove that the opposite is actually true, right? You can go down a system. So, you know, no point me going and reiterating Byron Katie's work too much there. She has on her website some printable, easily downloadable free worksheets where you can actually, if you're really committed to going deep in overturning your limiting beliefs and your limiting identity that's keeping you playing small, I invite you to go do that. But at the smallest place, this place of just identifying where it is that you're judging, who am I to do that? Who am I to be that? And swapping it for the what ifs. What's the possibility moving forward? What if I was free of this? What is it that I'd be inspired to do? Who is it that I really am? What would it feel like to just be fully in alignment of the truth of who I am? And what would that feel like to really be sharing of that and received for who I actually am in my environment around me? All right, so that's my message for you. I've got a whippersnipper guy right out front of me, so you guys can probably hear that noise. So hope it's not too distracting, but I might be my sign to get out and go. But I definitely want to check in and say hi to you guys who've been able to join me. And for those of you, if you haven't heard me talk about it this week, I'm launching a free online Zoom call. You're all invited. And it's happening this coming Monday, my Aussie time, very early in the morning. Might be a Sunday evening or afternoon for you, wherever you are in the world. You can check that out. I will put a comment with the link, and you can register to come and join us in the Free to Be Me with V empowerment sessions, where basically we're getting together with other like minds. We're growing shoulder to shoulder, and basically just like honing in on that spark within you to choose love over fear, right? To choose what inspires you over whatever your fears and insecurities are. To choose to discover and develop and really deliver, you know, who it is that you are into the world, so that you can live a real, true life of meaning, fulfillment, and purpose. All right? That's what your heartbeats are here for, right? They're not meant to be playing small, right? They're meant to be tuning in and flowing in whatever realm that is. And it'd be my greatest pleasure to help you to uncover that. And if you've already uncovered that, then to just step more fully into it. All right. And we can support each other in a community like that, where, you know, we're open-minded, we're loving, we're desiring the best for each other. And there's just too many limited spaces in the world, like, where we just don't get that, you know? And so that's what I'm here to create, and I'd love your help in creating that. All right, so let me quickly check in. I've got Brian and Bill and Alexandria and DV and Yon. Awesome. And Bill, awesome, passionate mega dose of soul smart wisdom. Boom. I love that. That's a tremendous compliment for me. Thank you so much, Bill. Love having you here, my friend. And hey to you, DB and Whippersipper. Yeah, as soon as I said that, I thought you guys might like that. I don't know what you guys in the States call it. Probably something boring, because us Aussies always have something weird to call things, don't we? But yeah, love that. And Ipanya. I think I'm pronouncing your name right, but probably wrong. But love having you here. So much love coming your way. Thank you so much for showing up live today. If this message is of value, please do share it anywhere with anyone. And definitely, even if you are already registered for the Free to Be Me with V sessions coming up, and if you know other people in your network, in your world, who could benefit by, you know, up-leveling their environment, being connected to, you know, messages of empowerment and getting to the heart and soul and source of things, so that we can all wake up together and start living passionately and stop living so small and playing the game of life so small, and actually like free ourselves to share our gifts, you know, to be excited by life and to live it as an adventure, then I invite you to also share that link for those free calls with them. The more the merrier. This is a global movement that I am hoping that you'll all support and get value from and want to spread and share together. So, so much love to each and every one of you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Much love. Mwah.